The day Apple fired Steve Jobs and why it became the best thing that ever happened to him. There is a quote from Steve Jobs that millions of people recognize, but only a few truly understand. It comes from his famous 2005 Stanford commencement speech, one of the most inspiring speeches ever recorded. And behind that quote is a story that shaped not only his life, but the future of technology. This story begins in 1985, during one of the most painful moments of his career. Steve Jobs, the man who helped build Apple from his parents' garage, was forced out of the very company he created. He described it as a public failure, a moment so humiliating and shocking that it felt like the ground had disappeared beneath him. Everything he had poured his passion into seemed to collapse in a single instant. For a while, he felt lost, confused, unsure of what his life was supposed to look like without Apple. He even considered leaving Silicon Valley altogether. But in the quiet space between failure and uncertainty, Jobs discovered something important. Something simple but powerful. He realized that despite everything that had happened, he still loved the work. Not the praise, not the title, not the success, but the actual work of building, designing, and creating. And that love became the thread that pulled him forward. Instead of disappearing, Jobs started again. He founded a new company called Next, focused on creating cutting-edge computers far ahead of their time. Next didn't become a commercial hit, but its technology would later form the foundation of macOS and iOS, the software inside today's iPhones and Macs. During this same period, he purchased a small, struggling animation studio. He renamed it Pixar. With a handful of artists and engineers, he helped create Toy Story, the first full-length computer-animated movie in history. Pixar went on to reshape modern animation and become one of the most innovative studios in the world. Looking back years later, Steve Jobs said something surprising. Getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. Losing everything had given him something new. Freedom. Without expectations or pressure, he was able to take risks again, to experiment, to be creative. What felt like the end of his story turned out to be the beginning of his most productive and imaginative years. When Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, he brought with him everything he had learned during those lost years. From that point on came the iMac, the iPod, the iPhone, and the iPad, products that changed the world. In his Stanford speech, he shared the lesson behind his journey. He told the graduates that life is too short to spend it doing work you don't care about. Your job will fill a huge part of your life, he said, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. He reminded them that when life knocks you down, and it will, only genuine passion will keep you moving. Only love for the craft will help you endure failure, doubt, and uncertainty. And when you finally find the work that feels right, the work that speaks to your heart, you will know. You won't have to be told. Steve Jobs' story is not just a story about success. It is a story about resilience, about losing everything, rediscovering what matters, and starting again. It is a reminder that sometimes the hardest moments in life are the ones that push us toward the chapter we were meant to write. And sometimes the thing that breaks you is the same thing that rebuilds you stronger than before. And that is the real message behind his famous quote. Not motivation, not theory. Just a man telling the truth he learned the hard way. Don't settle. Find what you love. Let it guide you.